Okay, so if you look at this code, it's a bit much. I was thinking the entire time writing this that this is just like begging to be refactored, and that's what I'm going to do in this video. All this stuff here, you probably noticed this already, that there's a lot of repeated things going on here. Like, for example, these two lines of code, exact same. This isn't the exact same, these UIDs, but some of them are, like this one, not that one. This one where you set the UID, these are all the exact same. The inner HTML, when you're setting the inner HTML, that's not the exact same lines of code, but you can definitely just pass in a variable, then use that to change what's being set, like an argument into another function that gets called here instead of all these lines of code. Okay, so that's exactly what I'm going to do here. So actually I could get rid of this right now. I'm not going to be needing it. So down here, let's create a function called fill partial month data. And actually, wait, I did that wrong. I have to declare it, not call it. I was having a hard time coming up with a name for this function. Nothing seemed exactly right, but filling partial month data, you could say fill month data, but that still doesn't really sound right, because like if you say fill month data, it could kind of sound like it means the entire month rather than the 3 individual months that's in each calendar, because yeah, there's a previous month, the current month, and then the next month. So you already know that, but the point is that you have to come up with a function name that sort of reflects, and yeah, it's pretty hard. So you can call this function whatever you want. I'm not going to think about it any longer. I'm just going to call it fill partial month data. Okay, so first thing you want to do is have a day. And right up here, so actually you want a day and a count. That'll be good enough for starting out. So then you could say day dot inner HTML is equal to count. So let's remove this here. You can see this function right here. It goes up to like 55 lines of code in this function. I'm going to chop it down to about here maybe. It's not so much, especially because this function itself is going to be about probably more than 10 lines of code. So, but that's not really the point. You don't really care about exactly saving lines of code. You kind of care about saving complexities and not repeating yourself. So the kind of point of functions, right, is just to create a little task that could easily be called at any time. So if you, let's just say hypothetically, in some other sort of situation, instead of calling this data right here, this stuff for each month, so here's being called 3 times, but you could be in another situation where this list goes on for like maybe 10 times or something like that. And you wouldn't want to do all of this stuff right here, all these lines of code. There's like 7, 8 lines of code sometimes. So let's see, what's that? That's a lot. It's about 7 lines of code. I'm not even going to count it. The point is, if you wanted to repeat it like 5 times or you know, more than 3, you'd have to keep writing all these lines of code. So the point isn't that you reduce the total amount of lines in your entire file by refactoring it, but you make it easier to understand what's going on and easier to call it again if you need to. But we're not going to. We're not going to need to, because you only need to call it 3 times, and a calendar is never going to have like a 4th month on it, right? So, but again, that's not the point. Okay, so that's enough of that. So with that, let's see what, yeah, we have to call it here. So fill in partial month data, and it's going to be day, it is day I, right? No, it's days. Days I and then current month. Yeah, so it's doing all of its things. Cool. Okay, so let's remove it from here as well. And where is it here? Here. Let's just delete these lines. Okay, so let's take this, copy it, put it here, and this one as well, put it here. And this one should be previous month count. Oh, previous month count. And there was something else I wanted to do here, this previous month index. I don't like how I named it, so let's just select it and refactor it a little bit. So instead of doing this, this is like, I think it's called snake case. You want to do camel case. I kind of can't decide sometimes how I want to call my variables. You notice though that in the data, I use this snake case. It just helps me know that this is like global data. Okay, so where were we? We have the previous month count, and here needs to be next month count. Now this should still, everything should still work here. Nothing should be broken. Okay, so it's still working. Now there's something else I want to do. I want to pass it in a month object that will be one of these. And then using that month object, I'll be able to do all this stuff with the UIDs. I'll be able to do that inside this function, just with the month object. So let's go back up here when it gets called. So the first month is just the month to fill in. And the second one is month data, previous month index. And the month here is month data, and that's the month to fill in. Dot its month index. So this value, whichever the current month is, the month to fill in, the main month, then +1. Okay, now this shouldn't break anything because we're not even doing anything with that. And that's fine. I'm not even going to do it right now. And then this one I called month. And this variable as well, I think it's not really named the best, but you'll see what it does when I start using it. So up here, no, it's right here when we're calling it. You just want to say current. And right here, call it previous. And right here, call it next. That may not be the best way to do it, but it's okay, it works. I was thinking about using numbers or something, but numbers too, they just, it wouldn't give any meaning to it. You just have to remember what you want it to be. Like I was thinking of putting current to 0, the previous to -1, and the next to 1, but you know, you might forget what you did in like 3 months or something. You might come back to it. You'd be like, what's -1? What's 0? What is that? What's going on? Anyway, so this works. So basically all you want to say here is if month is equal to current, then you want to do basically this. So let's copy. Let's just comment it out. So the reason I'm not putting this all on one line, you might just say, let's just add another AND statement here, or another AND operator, and put that all in one line. But you don't want to do that because if it's not the current month, you also want to use an else. That only happens if it's not the current month. So if it's not the current month, automatically it's going to do this. And that is the day.classList.add color. So now these can be commented out. I'm just going to comment for now, just so we still have this as a reference. Okay, so something's not working. Let's see what it says. Current month count, line 63. Let's see this. Okay, what you want to do here is use count. Remember, because I'm passing in, here's the function being called. I'm passing in current month count as the count variable. So you could use that. Okay. And days is not defined. I must have done something wrong here. Yeah, this is supposed to just be day. I should have noticed that right away. Okay, so now this is working. Pretty cool. And now if it's not the current month, you also want to use an if statement to check if month is equal to previous. So right now what I'm doing is this one. You know what? I'm not even going to copy that because there's so much changes that need to be done for it to work. So I'm just going to do it from here. So it's count is equal to month object dot amount of days. Okay, and then from here, if it is, it's console.log true. Okay, so then all you want to do is day.class class list dot add Okay, so that should do that. Let's close this up a bit. Let's do baby blue. Okay, so you could see it there. Okay, cool. So now there's just one more thing we got to do. Well, two more actually, but this is the more complicated one. The UIDs. So let's remove all this stuff right here from all of them. It's very repetitive, you notice that. Basically doing the same thing every time with a few different variables. So down here you could say UID is equal to get UID, and then the month object dot month index, the month object dot year, and the count, and then day dot set attribute, and then down here just do this, append the sprite in tooltip. For that you need a UID and the element, and you can take that out from here too. Okay, let's refresh. So everything's still working here. Looks good. Oh wait, that didn't work. Oh, what did I do? Okay, post-its aren't working. Huh. I wonder why. Anyways, I'll come back to that in the next video because this video is getting really long. But let's just make sure that, so it's working, building the month. I like the teal color because you could easily see the black outline around the calendar here. Let's go ahead and delete all this stuff right here. So yeah, the code got a lot shorter. It's not nearly as monstrous as it was before, but now we have this function. So like I said, you kind of make a trade. Make one function smaller by creating another.